I want to tell you something that I was hesitant to share. I'm Dr. Kim Nichols, and welcome to the Level Up, where I help mid-career and senior women physicians align their careers purposefully and live joyfully. Today, I'm doing something a little different, sharing some of my own story, some pivots in my journey through medicine that taught me about alignment and joy. Moments that felt like uncertainty, but became some of the most clarifying and joyful chapters of my life. And if you're at a point where your career no longer feels like the right fit for who you're becoming, stick around. This episode is for you. Let me take you back to a moment very early in my career. Although I had planned to stay in academic practice after training, I took a job in private practice because, you do have to go where the jobs are. That wasn't part of my vision, but being in that job allowed me to grow, not just as a physician, but also as a team builder, a leader, and as a person in a way that would not have happened if I had not worked there. I made wonderful connections, and my teammates taught me how to take amazing care of patients. Frankly, I couldn't be who I am today without being that person first. But by the time I made the decision to transition from private practice into academic medicine, it was definitely the right move. The opportunities for teaching, mentorship, and the ability to shape young physicians became my new calling. I gained a lot in private practice, but this new experience lit me up in different ways that private practice had not. This excitement fueled me to push myself even further, and I found that I could do more and more and more. That private practice experience, especially in leadership, led to me serving as division chief in anesthesiology, and I hit the ground running. I created a faculty orientation manual, a new faculty onboarding system, and a brand new anesthesiology service line at an endoscopy center. I also remembered how hard the job search process was as a trainee, so I created an annual transition to practice program for residents and fellows in the region. Something practical, something honest, something I wished had existed for me. I was officially in the business of doing a lot of doing, producing, building, checking boxes, but none of it felt like it was adding up to anything. My career didn't feel like it had much direction, and in academic medicine, direction matters a lot. And then, as a mid career anesthesiologist, something happened that I figured out is an important signal. I became very restless with everything I was doing, and I couldn't shake that feeling. Not because the work wasn't valuable, it was. Not because I wasn't good at it, I was. But because something in me knew I was called to do more, that the contributions I was capable of making was larger than the container I was in, that the current version of me was no longer sustainable. That feeling of me didn't go away. If anything, it deepened. And I honestly didn't have much guidance on what to do with it. But eventually, I did share what I was feeling with a colleague who was a little further in his career. And he said something I wasn't expecting. He told me to think bigger, that as an educator, there was more I could be doing, that maybe it was time to think beyond my current scope. Perhaps you could teach a class in the medical school, he said. I balked at the thought of it as it made me uncomfortable. I wasn't ready for that. I didn't think I'd be good at it. Who was I to even consider the possibility? But I also knew something had to change. I couldn't go on being restless forever. So I made a choice to do it. And in 2016, I started teaching first year medical students in a 3 semester doctoring course. And watching earliest learners grow before they developed the habits that training can instill was one of the greatest privileges of my professional career. And even though it was extra work creating lesson plans every week, I leaned heavily into it and became quite creative as I tried to make class as fun as possible for them. That day of teaching quickly and consistently became my favorite day of the week. I so look forward to seeing those 7 students every week. and the ones in the years that followed. None of them will ever know the magnitude of impact they had on me. And just like that, the restlessness faded. And that step towards something more aligned toward my purpose of developing others led to the next opportunity and the next and the next and the next. And in 2018, I helped start a new academic coaching program for students in the clinical phases. There was no playbook, no established processes to follow, just students, a gap that needed filling, and someone willing to step in and build something from scratch. That someone was me. It was some of the most creatively satisfying work I've ever done because it didn't exist. I got to imagine it, design it, bring it to life, and share it. I met so many students through this process and got to know them as people, not just learners. And I became a better teacher, doctor, and person by reverse engineering what they actually needed. Here's what I want you to know about those examples. Neither of them required me to abandon what I had built before. In fact, I built upon those foundations. These were expansions, movements toward greater alignment, toward being the full scope of who I am, not doing for the sake of doing. And I want to ask you something. In what ways have you thought about expanding? What might you want to move toward? Because the people willing to step into that space are the ones who experience the deepest sense of professional purpose. Sure, I've navigated more career shifts than what I've shared. Some I chose, and some found me. Maybe you can relate. So now what? If you're sitting with restlessness or navigating a career shift, what do you do with that feeling? Looking back, here are three things every pivot has taught me, and I think they can help you too. The first, and this one's important, restlessness is a signal worth honoring. You cannot just push through. If you feel that persistent sense that something needs to change, that's your deepest self telling you that you may have grown beyond where you are, and that growth deserves to be taken seriously and not ignored, because more than likely, that feeling is not going away. Second, the shift is almost never as dramatic as the fear makes it feel. Most of the transitions I've navigated and many I've helped other women through were not as dramatic leaps off a cliff. They were slow and deliberate steps, one foot in front of the other, one decision at a time. But they did involve forward motion. Fear can make decisions feel enormous, but when you have clarity and support, it feels much more like a stroll than a leap. Third, career shifts redirect and expand upon things you've already built. Everything you've learned, every new patient you've cared for, every difficult conversation you've navigated, every trainee you've taught, every mentee you've sponsored, all these experiences travel with you. All of it informs what comes next. And sometimes they become the foundation for what is possible on the other side of the shift. Your pivots are often the path to your purpose. So when you're navigating a career shift, here's the question I like to ask. Are you running from something or moving towards something? Because the distinction matters tremendously. Running from something, from a role that no longer fits, from a version of yourself you have outgrown, from a toxic environment, those can absolutely be the right move. But you need to also have clarity about what you're moving toward. Without that clarity, you run the risk of simply recreating the same misalignment with new tasks in a different setting. Moving towards something, toward greater alignment, toward a role that reflects your values and your vision, toward work that more fully uses your strengths. That's a different kind of energy. It's intentional rather than desperate. It's an energy of abundance rather than one of scarcity. And the difference between these two, it shows up in the decisions you make, in the opportunities you attract, and in the kind of career you ultimately build. So I'll ask you, wherever you are in your journey right now, tell me in the comments, are you running from something or moving towards something? And what is it? You don't have to have the answer today, but you do want to ask yourself that question. If you've stayed this long to watch this video, here's what I already know about you. You're accomplished. You care a lot about your work. You've given enormously to your patients, your team, your institution, and your profession. Somewhere, though, you may be wondering what comes next. Not because medicine was the wrong choice. You became a physician because you love caring for people, and that hasn't changed. But you've grown as a person, and your career is ready to grow with you. That's an invitation worth accepting. The career shifts and expansions I've shared with you, and ones I haven't, have each taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way. And the thread that runs through all of them is this: the most aligned, most purposeful, most joyful version of your career is waiting for you. And you don't have to figure out how to get there alone. The women physicians who've navigated their careers most successfully did so in community and with the support of people who could walk with them through that journey. Let's build that together. You may have come to this video asking, now what? And here's my answer. You get to decide. But first, honor your feelings. Ask yourself the right questions and take one intentional step towards something more aligned. You don't have to have it all figured out today. You just have to start. And if you're ready to start, book a free 30-minute discovery call with me. The link is in the description below. No pressure, no obligation, just an honest conversation about where you are and where you want to go. In the next video, we'll talk about one of the most powerful and most underutilized career tools available to women physicians. Spoiler, it's not a credential, it's a relationship, and it could open doors you didn't even know existed. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you know any women physicians who are looking for more career alignment and joy, I would be so grateful if you shared this episode. Remember, you already have the answers. My job is to help you hear them. Thank you for joining the Level Up. I'm Dr. Kim Nichols, and I'll see you next time.